Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we are going to do a myriad of different things. One of them is just sandblast the fuel tank, and I'm actually stoked that it fits in there. You can see I've already had one quick pass over it just to get a lot of the heavy stuff off, but we're going to go back over it again. So yeah, we have to do that. The other part was I lost this for about 3 weeks, and for the life of me I could not find it anywhere. And of course you know where that goes, don't you? Down over here. Let's have a look. In this spot right there. And it was one of the last little welding jobs I had to do, and of course I don't know where it went. It ended up, it was actually in the sandblasting cabinet because it obviously has primer on it, and it must have fallen down the back in the garnet, and I turned this whole place upside down looking for it, I'm going mad. Anyway, I found it, so that's going to be one more little part that we have to weld in. I did this off camera. There was a huge bullet hole right here, so I sort of fixed all this area up and then got one of the old stock handles I had. The original one that was on here was completely seized, so I've found this other one that we used, and that all works perfectly now. So tailgate's done. What else are we going to do? Yeah, look, she's looking a lot better. We've got a beautiful day here today, actually, but we'll probably just do a few more little bits and pieces. I want to try and get this dint out at the front here. I know there's going to be a few people that are going to comment on how to get it, but you can see here, dirty great big dent, and I hate it. Every time I look at this thing, it's irking me to death. Now the problem is, of course, you can't get to it from the inside because we've got this panel here, and it's actually tucked in right behind there, so I don't think there's really any way to push it out from here. I've thought about trying to shove a football in there or something and inflate it, but I think it'll just bend this piece out, so that's not going to work. And I think the only way to do this is going to be to weld a couple of studs on here and try and pull it out, and you know, it just means we're going to have to repaint it, but whatever, that's all good. So I think I'll have to do that. I don't actually have a stud puller, a weld on type one, so I'll probably just try and weld a couple of bits of wire on that. See how we go. Cargo doors are getting there, you know, just been sanding them, and a few little niggly bits inside here that we had to do. I think we are going to paint the inside of this just in primer grey. I think it'll make it look a lot better. Obviously all that is going to be covered with door cards, so we're not too fussed about it, and then I'll do the floor. Still haven't found the Y piece for the heater. We're still looking to that, so that's going to kind of hold us up in, well, painting the floor for one, because we've got to weld those pieces in. Anyway, let's get on to doing the fuel tank. I think we might get that sandblasted, get some rust converter on it, give it a coat of primer, and paint it in the stock grey colour in some 2K as well. So let's get crack-a-lackin'. Okay, so she's out of the sandblaster. There's a couple little patches I've missed, but most of it's good. It's only really very, very light stuff. We're going to hit this with some Fahrenheit now, and then let that do its thing, and then we can get some 2-pack epoxy on it. All right, we will let the tank do its thing. You can see it's turned black already, which is pretty good. And we'll go and put that out in the sun. Once it dries, which won't take too long, we can get some epoxy primer on it. All right, let's keep moving. Righto, guys, so the Fahrenheit is completely dry. What we're going to do before we go on any further on the exterior of the tank, we're going to do the inside. So we're going to use the KBS tank sealer. The idea is you use the AquaClean, which that's like a degreaser, obviously. Just do 1-to-1, slosh it around in there with some hot water. Then we put the rust blaster in. That'll obviously get rid of any rust that's inside it. And then we seal it with the polyurethane tank sealer. So obviously 3-part process. That's a sacrificial old sender unit which is broken, so we can leave that. We can actually bolt that back in to seal it. Up here I'll just put some duct tape over that to seal it, and then same deal with the outlet down the bottom there. So let's get that done and get this tank ready to rock and roll. Then we can actually get it installed in the panel van, because obviously we can't put the motor in until the tank's in, and that's just one more job done. Now I did also manage to get that little piece welded in down the bottom here, so that little piece is done now. So that's sort of almost the last little piece of welding. I've put a little bit of filler on this weld line along here, which you saw me do that panel a while back, and unfortunately I was just about to start sanding all this back and my sander stopped working, so I'm not sure what's happened. I checked the brushes and they're okay, but yeah, unfortunately I'll have to take it in and find out what's wrong with it. It just completely stopped. Yeah, it's probably the switch. I wouldn't be surprised. So we'll see what happens. It has broken before, but you know, like I said in a previous video, I've had this thing for almost 30 years. And it wasn't cheap. It was about $700-800 when I bought it brand new. But man, has it done a lot of surfboards. So I'll have to go and take that into the shop and find out what's wrong with it. All right, let's get on with this guy. Okay, so we've got a chain inside it, just to slosh around and break off any heavy rust. I've taped up the bottom, top, and thing. This one's leaking already. You know, bloody lots of tape on it and it's still coming out. Doesn't matter. We'll just slosh it around a little bit, can dump it out and see what we get inside it. Okay, so we've dumped the contents. I've just washed it out with some fresh water. Have a look inside this tank. It's unbelievable. You have a look inside there. It is brand new. There is not one iota of rust. We don't even actually have to use the rust converter. It's insane. And this is from 1955, and it's been sitting in a paddock for bloody 40 years. That's insane. Wow. I really expected this thing to be completely toast inside. Just goes to show, hey, the good old German quality metal. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well, that's really good news. That means we can basically just give this another clean and it's ready to go. We don't have to touch the inside of it, which is phantasmagorical. Cool. We're going to let this thing dry out. We'll give it another flush again. I really don't think it needs it, to tell you the truth. I mean, it's like brand new metal inside. But we'll give it another go, and then we can start working on the outside of it, getting the primer and the top coat. Okay, so it's the next day, and inside the tank is completely dry. Obviously all the Fahrenheit's completely dry too. So what I've done is I've just used some gaff tape, taped up the snorkel there, and what we're going to do now is dump some of the rust blast into the tank, and we'll slosh that around, leave it for about 10 minutes, and then wash that out with water, and then we can go from there. We'll just, yeah, I thought might as well just put a little bit of this in there. It's not rusty in there at all, but just in case there's bits that you can't see, might be a good idea to do it anyway. So all right, let's dump a little bit of this stuff in there and go from there. Probably what it needs. What the deal is here, this flange here has been bolted on, and obviously between the two there's a gasket and it's gone, and that's where we're seeping. So probably a good idea I found it now so that we don't have fuel coming out later on. So I suppose the thing now is we're going to have to undo these screws, take this off, make a new gasket and put that back on, and let's have a look and see how easy they're going to come off. Probably not. All right, so I've unscrewed the screws, and of course they've got nuts on the insides of them. So, you know, typical, some of the nuts are falling inside, but whatever, we can fish them out. Let's take this off. Yeah, so there you go. There's a little gasket, which is cork, and it's totally perished, so to be expected, of course. So we'll have to make up a new one. You can see here that someone's just done that as a retrofit, and then they've gone to the trouble and made this beautiful spacer. A bit of engineering there. So not bad at all. Someone was thinking. And luckily, I think I do have some cork. Well, I've definitely got some sort of a gasket anyway, so we'll make up a new one. I'll go and put that on the bench as a template. so we can trace it out later. We can get some cork. There we go. All right, continue back to it. Probably had that stuff in there long enough. We'll just fish out these screws and then we can continue. Righto, so here's the part bolted back in. I didn't want to bore you with all the details of making a gasket, but you get the idea. Just, you know, drill the holes and whatever. So that's all done. That's permanent. We've got a new centre unit that's ready to go in it. Obviously, we're going to get this ready for painting now, so I'll just mask this area up and let's get it in some 2K primer. Okay, so that one is done diddly done. We'll let that flash off and do its thing, and then we can get the top coat on it. So one of the next jobs we're going to do, I've put just a very light coat of primer on all of this just to have a bit of a look at it, and same with the repaired area down there. We might as well start trying to get this red off. We'll just do this panel here, and then we can have a look at the roof. Might as well get going. I kind of want to start doing the blue all in one go, so I'd rather just, yeah, knock this out. I mean, it's only going to be really this little patch here anyway, and the rear quarter. Yeah, let's set this up, make it nice and easy for me, and well, let's get crack-lacking. Yeah, let's just get to it. Okay, so that's done its job. Pretty much just used the Viber. I got it going. I actually just mucked around with the inside of it, gave it a good clean, and all of a sudden it started working again. So happy days. So yeah, just gave this a bit of a sand. I've got to still do the vents a little bit more. And also I have done a little bit on the roof. You can see up here, this whole section here, I've sanded that back. Haven't quite done the middle over there yet, but it's actually starting to look a lot better than it was before. You can see down the side there. And if I come around on this side, yeah, you can see there, same deal. Just gave that, it's got a little bit of character there, but that's fine. And also the front, just going to have a look at the front quickly. I haven't done the dint yet, but you can see here, it's just been sanded. I took all that moss off, put the cap on there. And then obviously now we're going to just blend in that section. So that bit's done. Let's go and paint the top coat on the fuel tank. Let's do it. Fuel tank is done, diddly done. Yeah, got a nice coat of the factory grey, and I think that will do the job nicely. We'll get that installed once this is dried in a couple of days, and one more part ticked off for the build. Top, I've just put the sender unit and covered that up again, and that's all dried off and ready to go. And I think that's it. I've got to go in and have dinner. I will catch you in the next video, and thanks for all the new subscribers, and cheers for coming on the journey. Woo!